want to have either the next female president or a racist president. And just because he has the money, or has money, thinks that he can say whatever he wants. So, this might technically be considered a fallacy or a fallacious statement. So there might be a way to phrase it a little bit more tactfully to kind of avoid falling into something fallacious. So an example might be like a first female president or a president that has shown racist tendencies or racist and greedy tendencies or something like that that applies this portion and this portion without just saying it, because it can sound a little bit aggressive, I guess, and then if you have too much aggression in a statement, then it loses a little bit of validity. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna write aggressive here. I don't know how to spell aggressive.
Yeah.
Now are Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton should not be presidents because they're both worse than Obama. This country, it's better off with no president than one of these two. Okay. Would you say that this is your thesis statement here?
Yeah.
At the end?
I
That's fine. I mean, I get the point across with it. It could be just a little bit stronger. Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton should not be presidents. Okay, so that's very strong. That's good. Because they're both worse than Obama. This is where it kind of starts getting a little bit weaker. And then this country is better off. So, all of this. So, this part here, that's strong. And then the part up here, that's strong. So it's just this kind of reasoning right here in the middle. So that's going to be, the reasoning is considered like your evidence, right? So obviously you're probably going to expand on your evidence in your body paragraphs because you're not going to have it all in your introduction paragraph. But this portion right here is really vague. So that's kind of like saying, I like the color red because it's not blue, you know, but we don't know what's wrong with blue.
Yeah.
You know, why is red better than blue, you know? Does that make sense? Okay. So it's just a little bit vague there, because they're both worse than Obama. Because even though you've mentioned that people don't like him, you haven't explained necessarily why. You just say that he's a bad president, but why is he a bad president? You know? So, you can write that there. So again,
okay, Carlos. So I underlined words that either I didn't understand, or sometimes grammar issues, sometimes you're forgetting a word. So first of all, I remember in my country when the Amazon region was threatened by black chevron hand. What is that? I'm like, hello?
Well, like, as you know in Spanish, it's called La Mano Negra de Chevron.
So is that a political group, a terrorist group,
No, it's
a
like
disease?
a petroleum and oil problem that was in the Amazon region.
So I know zero in my culture. I know nothing about this. What would you call it? Was it a problem? Was it a conflict? Was it a war? Was
No,
it?
it was a problem because
political, economic.
It could be political, economical, and environmental. too.
Environmental.
Mm-hmm.
So was it an organization or was it just the name of the conflict?
Well, that name was given by the president because there was during the petroleum thing in my country, there was Chevron, the company Chevron.
Okay, Chevron was drilling in the Amazon.
So according to the president, once they when they left from the Amazon region, when they done with the contract, they leave everything like contaminated with the petroleum, with all that kind of stuff. But
so I understand Chevron oil. you use the word environmental, that would work. So your goal is to communicate to me, someone who's never been to your country.
Okay.
So if you use chevron, environmental, maybe the chevron, environmental, would you call it a conflict or was it a scandal? Was it, the Chevron left, did your country think it was a scandal that they destroyed everything?
It was kind of like scandal, yeah.
Okay, so why do we call it that? The Chevron environmental scandal.
The scandal.
And if I need to know, I'll go to Google. But at least with those words, you've created a picture I can understand. But black chevron hand, it might be a translation, but it doesn't communicate. Okay,
Yeah.
so why don't you go ahead and make those changes?
Okay.
You can use pencil if you want.
Alright.
So,
Put words like
yeah.
to make sense.
and it was one specific scandal, so do you want the or a? You need an article if you have a noun. Is
Would
it
be
a
the.
scandal or the? It's
The
the,
scandal.
because it's a very specific scandal. The chevron, and it was an environmental. You could maybe, if you're thinking oil and petroleum, environmental, you could make it longer.
Or you say oil pollution.
Oil pollution scandal, that would work. And maybe you want to put the word Amazon jungle or jungle, if that's meaningful for us here in America too. We're like, oh, oil, chevron, Amazon jungle. Should we try to
So
put
like
jungle
here,
in
like I
there?
remember my country when the Amazon region.
Okay, that's enough there. The Amazon region was
Written by
the Chevron environmental.
oil petroleum scandal
Yeah.
called.
We don't need oil and petroleum, so you could use one or the other.
No, it's oil pollution. It's called.
Oh, okay. Oil pollution, oil contamination. Yeah, that works. Okay.
Okay.
So, good. Now I got the idea of meaning. My cousin and I went to a photo exhibit at a local university. In it, my cousin and I went to a photo exhibit at a local university. In it, as we walked through the room, we saw beautiful photos of frogs, colorful snakes, the lush and green jungle, period. In English, one general rule is if you have a list, try to make the list parallel.
Okay.
So like if I said, I like to drink wine, beer, and Coca-Cola, that would be 3 nouns. Here you're not quite parallel. So we saw beautiful photos of frogs, colorful snakes.
And probably and.
You probably need an and here.
Okay.
Because here you have 2 adjectives, lush and green, describing jungle, but we need noun, and before the last noun you need and. So
Okay.
you need to add, you can have 2 ands, and
the lush
but
and.
here you
green
can
jungle.
probably take this and out. In English, many times we can put 2 adjectives right together. And lush, beautiful, and if there's 2 adjectives, you don't need another comma.
Okay, so
Lush,
it'll be under
just take out,
lush,
take out that and, the lush,
green jungle.
lush green jungle, good.
Okay.
The jungle. Now, I wasn't sure how in English usually is a question. Like, how did they do that? Or how did you get here? Sometimes it's an expression like, how beautiful. What were you meaning in that sentence?
Like
But it's
with
how.
that expression, like how a drop like was in the picture and describing it, like also.
So you're not meaning it as a question.
No,
You're for
I'm
sure
not
meaning it as an expression. Okay, so I think we're still gonna need a verb in this. How a drop of water took up photography and showed the beauty of nature. Yeah. Okay, but in English it's not quite communicating. And you could make it a question, like, how is it possible that a drop of water could be photographed and become art? Or with how, usually we would say how plus an adjective, like how beautiful it was or how intriguing it was. We need a subject and a verb. What?
Okay.
That a drop of water could be photographed and become art. So how do you want to say that? We could make it a question, like you're like, how is it possible that a drop of water could become? Or how intriguing it was, what would you like to say? You need to get a verb and a subject in there.
Yeah, probably one not a question. It probably would be more an expression. So it would be how.
How amazing it was. Again, in English usually that how is with a describing word. How amazing it was, how beautiful it was, how incredible it was. That, and then this other sentence, that a drop of water took up photography. Let's work on this just a minute before we get the whole sentence. Took up is usually something active. I take up photography. So you have a water drop taking up photography, but that's, so a water drop was the subject of a photographer. Your ideas are very, very advanced, and your English is not quite there. So I'm trying to help you. How do you say, you probably have 10th grade English, and you're thinking like as a junior, senior in college. So your English is very high, but not quite as complex. So it will help you to try and say as clearly as you can with your English, maybe sometimes make the sentence even a little simpler. So let's think here. We have how a drop of water took up photography and showed the beauty of nature. Take that idea and try to tell me exactly what you mean now.
Well, that idea was like, I saw the picture of a drop, like, and there was also the jungle. Like you can see the jungle by the drop.
I may have seen a picture like that somewhere. So it looked like the drop was like almost like a window into the jungle. Okay. I might actually make that a question. How is it possible? No. How, so what adjective would you put? Fascinating, beautiful?
Amazing.
Okay, so how amazing, now we need subject verb. Present tense or past tense? Was this a present or a past experience?
Past experience.
So the verb to be almost always goes with descriptions. How amazing.
Was? No.
Yeah, it was, but we need a subject. Just the generic it.
Okay, how amazing was.
Then you're going to add another sentence to this. How amazing it was. What? That. And what's the rest of your sentence? That you could see a jungle in a drop of water, or that a drop of water, maybe you take what you had here. How amazing it was that a drop of water, okay, blank, blank, photography, and showed the beauty of nature. Not took up. Took up is something that people do actively. How amazing it was that a drop of water. You're thinking very advanced thoughts. I'm trying to help you figure. Talk it through with me. How amazing it was that a drop of water. You could say was. In a photograph. Showing the jungle.
Showing the jungle. Yeah.
Something like that. I mean, it's not as as beautiful as you'd like to say it, but I'm
but
sorry. This is who you are for right now.
Yeah.
So if
I
you,
understand
and I will
that.
say, if you keep working at it, within 2 or 3 or 4 years, you can be writing in English almost as well as you write in Spanish. Usually, your second language you will get to almost the same level of ability. But right now, your English is still at
I understand that.
9th or 10th grade high school level, and you're thinking way up the college. So try and say that. So with how expression, you have to use usually an adjective. How amazing, and then verb subject, it was. Then that's only the first part. Then
so that a drop.
That, yes, that, now you would throw the next sentence into there. That a drop
of water.
Was or could be is hypothetical, or that it was is very simple. That a drop of water was, and something about photograph and something about beauty in the jungle.
I don't want to repeat the showed. I did the same verb.
Well, that a drop of water was in a photograph, but showing is not the drop.
Okay,
Showing is the jungle, so that's okay.
Was in
a photograph.
Okay, in the photograph.
Showing.
The beauty of nature.
Now, I think when you were explaining to me, it was a little bit like that drop of water was either a window, or it was like a lens. You were looking through it. So maybe, can you add something about that? That drop of water was in a photograph showing the beauty of nature like a window. Never mind, that's too, I'm pushing it too much. That's good, that's clear.
Yeah, okay, that's clear.
So let's keep going. His explanation was that he could see the beautiful landscapes, but could see the sadness and suffering that was causing oil in the people. Sadness and suffering was causing oil? Or vice versa?
It was caused by the oil.
Ah, okay, so either sadness and suffering that oil was causing, that's the subject, or, repeat what you said it correctly, but you didn't write it. Yes.
Okay.
What you're doing is, in English, it's called passive voice. When you are not saying oil causes suffering, you are taking suffering was caused, is caused, then you must have a by if it's passive.
Alright.
By. So you could just figure out what's going on there. Either change it to active, oil was causing suffering, or the suffering and that was, and not was causing, but if you want it ongoing, I am causing, past tense, was, you need a form of be.
Sadness and suffering that
Was caused is one time. Do you want it one time?
Yeah.
Or ongoing?
Just one time.
Okay, then it would be was caused, otherwise you need a be form in there. Okay, that was caused by
oil.
And be just a little bit more specific. Again, you mentioned the scandal here, but which aspect of oil was probably was it drilling?
No, it wasn't the drilling.
Or
it was
spilling?
Like spilling.
So give me something, because otherwise oil is a little bit generic. It could be cooking oil, it could also be oil spilling. If that, maybe some sort of a verb that talks a bit what was happening.
How do you spell that word?
Spill. How do you spell drill? How do you spell
Drill
pill?
Okay.
The same way.
Spill.
It's just like a pill for medicine that you take with an S on the front.
Spill.
And was it spilled once? Yeah, if it was spilled once. So read again what you have here.
So it will be something here like he could not see.
Okay.
The sadness and suffering that was caused by oil spill.
Oil spilled in.
To people, probably knowing people.
Oh, okay. What's the sadness? The people is the sadness. The oil was spilled in the jungle.
Yeah, the people that were suffering and for all that.
Okay. Why don't you just speak easy? No, this is good. You're trying to say something really complex, which is excellent. When you try to say something hard, you don't reach it the first time maybe, but it's good. It's better than just saying nothing. So this is a good problem. Okay, so, but he could not see the sadness and suffering that was caused by spilled oil. Okay, I'm just going to challenge you. What is in people? Spilled oil or suffering?
Suffering.
So let's put in people close to suffering. And where was the oil spilled? Not in people, but in the jungle.
In the jungle.
So let's move this in people close to what? Where should it be in the sentence? You can just do a circle if you want and an arrow. What is in people?
Sadness and suffering in people.
Yes. Okay, that's close. It's the suffering in people that was caused by oil spilled, not in kitchens, but in
the jungle.
Yeah. Now I'm like, oh, now you're reconnecting me to your scandal of Chevron and environmental problems.
Okay.
Good. Good. Okay.